One text, that's all it takes. One text that never gets a reply, and something in him quietly closes. No dramatic exit, no argument, no final speech. He just stops. Stops texting first, stops showing up early, stops trying to be chosen. And here's the strange part. It's not the insecure men who do this. It's the ones who seem the most confident, the most put together, the ones everyone assumes have it all figured out. Why does the man who has the most to offer the least effort in chasing? Stay until the end, because reason number 4 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might explain more about you than you're ready for. By the end of this video, you'll understand something most people never notice about themselves, why some men stop chasing, not because they stopped caring, but because somewhere along the way, chasing started to feel like losing. And if you've ever wondered why you pulled back from someone you actually wanted, this is going to feel uncomfortably familiar. 1. The cost of being wrong once. Picture this. He liked her, really liked her. He showed it, the long replies, the plans made in advance, the effort that wasn't hidden. And she left anyway. Not because he did something wrong, just because. Here's what nobody tells you about that moment. It's not the loss that stays with him. It's the exposure. For a few weeks, everyone around him knew what he wanted, and then everyone around him watched him not get it. Psychologists call this a hit to self-verification, the deep need to have our self-image confirmed by how others treat us. When effort gets rejected in public view, the brain doesn't just log "that didn't work," it logs "wanting things openly is dangerous." So the next time interest shows up, something in him hesitates, not because he doesn't feel it, because some part of him remembers exactly what it cost the last time he let it show. And that's just the surface, because what happens next isn't really about her at all. 2. The quiet math nobody admits. Think about the last time you really wanted something, a job, a place, a person, and you caught yourself doing the math before you even tried. Is this worth the risk? What do I lose if this doesn't work? This is called loss aversion, and it's one of the most quietly powerful forces in human decision-making. We don't weigh gains and losses equally. Losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the equivalent feels good. So a man who has built a life he's proud of, friendships, work, a sense of who he is, starts running different numbers than he used to. Chasing isn't just trying, it's staking something. Time, dignity, the story he tells himself about who he is. And the more he has, the more expensive it feels to risk it on someone who hasn't shown him she wants to be chased. You've probably done this too. Maybe not with a person, maybe with an opportunity you talked yourself out of because the version of you that tried and failed felt worse than the version of you that never tried at all. That's the same wiring. But here's where it gets stranger, because sometimes the walking away isn't risk at all. Sometimes it's memory. 3. The pattern he doesn't know he's repeating. Somewhere in his past, maybe a parent, maybe an early relationship, there was a version of love that had to be earned constantly, where affection showed up only after enough performing, enough proving, enough chasing. Kids who grow up in inconsistent emotional environments often develop what attachment researchers call an avoidance strategy. Not because they don't want closeness, because closeness once meant unpredictability, and unpredictability to a nervous system feels like danger. So years later, without ever connecting the dots, he associates wanting someone visibly with the old familiar ache of wanting something that might not come back. Chasing isn't just a modern dating choice for him, it's an old alarm going off. Maybe you've never noticed this in yourself. Maybe you've called it being independent or not needing anyone, when really it's a nervous system that learned a long time ago that needing someone out loud wasn't safe. Most people stop analyzing here. Intelligent people don't, because there's a fourth layer underneath this one, and it's the one almost nobody wants to admit out loud. 4. The part that's actually about him, not her. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes not chasing has nothing to do with fear. It has nothing to do with past wounds. Sometimes a man stops chasing because deep down he already knows the answer and he'd rather not hear it out loud. There's a concept in psychology called anticipated regret, where we make decisions not based on what we think will happen, but on how we predict we'll feel afterwards. And silence, oddly enough, protects a specific kind of hope. As long as he never asks directly, he never has to fully lose the version of her he's built in his head. So he waits, he watches, he tells himself he's being chill, being unbothered, playing it smart. But underneath that calm exterior is a very specific kind of self-protection. The choice to stay in soft uncertainty rather than face hard clarity. You felt this, maybe with a message you never sent, a question you never asked, what are we conversation you avoided for weeks because some part of you preferred not knowing over knowing and being wrong. That's not weakness, that's the mind doing exactly what it's built to do, protecting itself from confirmed loss. But there's one more piece, and it changes everything you just heard. 5. When not chasing becomes who he is. At some point, something shifts. The waiting stops being a strategy and starts becoming an identity. He starts calling it standards. He starts calling it not settling. And sometimes that's true. But sometimes, without realizing it, the story becomes the shield. I don't chase stops being a boundary and starts being a wall. One built so early and so thick that even the right person showing up with the right intentions doesn't make it through. This is what behavioral psychologists sometimes describe as identity lock-in. When a self-protective habit repeats so often, it becomes part of how someone defines themselves, even after the original threat is gone.
The danger isn't that he stops chasing the wrong people. The danger is that he can no longer tell the difference between protecting himself and blocking out the one thing he actually wanted.
So maybe this never really was about chasing at all. Maybe it was about a man who learned somewhere along the way that wanting something out loud was the most dangerous thing he could do. And maybe, just maybe, the real question isn't why he stopped chasing. It's whether he'll ever let himself feel safe enough to try again. Because some people don't stop wanting, they just stop showing it. And the ones who notice that difference in themselves for the first time are usually the ones who needed to hear it the most.